The City of Steel is no stranger when it comes to rap music, with megastars like Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller calling Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania home. But the city has a darker side when it comes to rap music that brings violence and even bloodshed. The late Jimmy Wopo knew this all too well, but after 2 failed attempts on his life by opposing gang members, unfortunately, the third time was the nail in his coffin. He was shot and killed the same day as rapper XXXTentacion, but the mainstream media was focusing on the murder of X, so the story of Jimmy Wopo didn't receive as much attention at the time. But after his death, the cops tied up loose ends around Wopo's lifestyle and his gang involvement. Today, we're going to take a look at the troubled life of the artist and alleged Pittsburgh gang leader. When Jimmy Wopo emerged in 2015, he came across as a fully formed artist, even though he was still a teenager, and he immediately established himself as a new kind of rapper out of the Pittsburgh scene. Wopo was born as Trayvon Smart in the Hill District of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on January 13, 1997. He grew up without his father and lived with his 3 brothers and younger sister. They had a rough upbringing, but their mom always worked hard to make sure they had enough to still get by. His mom supported his interest in music from a young age, and when Wopo was only 8 years old, she called into a local radio station and let him rap. It was one of the first big musical experiences of his life, and he continued to carry the passion. But as he got older, the influence of the streets and the environment of the Hill District pulled him into living a reckless lifestyle, full of crime at a young age. He started getting so involved into the politics surrounding the street life that he almost died in the 9th grade when he got shot 3 times. He survived the attack but didn't return to school afterwards. Moving forward, he wanted to avoid any type of schedule for his life. That way people couldn't target him and try to finish him off. This near-death experience only fueled Wopo to lean even more into the street lifestyle. As I mentioned, he grew up rapping, but he didn't start to upload music to SoundCloud until early 2015. Later that year, another Pittsburgh rapper by the name Stunna 2 Fly dropped a diss track, Ya Gang 2, Jimmy Wopo diss.
Jimmy Wop, let your motherfucking pistol pop. Your man's died, you ain't ride, you's a lollipop.
And this sparked a rap feud that had real-life consequences. Shortly after the diss track was posted, Wopo uploaded a diss track in response.
Catch it and up it, your ass better duck. Who wanna play rough with carbons and up? It's Wop the Don Dada, I don't give a fuck.
Tensions were high, and Jimmy Wopo was nearly taken out by a second attempt on his life. He was only 18 years old and had already been shot 6 times in total. The most recent attack left him with bullet wounds to his stomach, leg, and arm, and landed him in the hospital as he recovered. After the second shooting, things were different. He realized that he was trapped in a cycle. He now had a daughter relying on him as well, and he knew he needed to get his act together. Following the second shooting, his diss track towards Stunna 2 Fly was gaining some traction, and Wopo decided to take the first step towards focusing on music and stepping away from the streets. He squashed his beef with Stunna 2 Fly, and the 2 rivals actually came together to create a song titled Bout Bread.
These niggas scared. We ain't competing, we just eating, my nigga, that shit is dead. It ain't beef if it ain't bout no bread, that's all my kid.
But it seems like Wopo would soon fall back into old habits. In October of 2015, he was sentenced to 3 years probation on a felony charge due to drug conspiracy. Wopo got his real taste of fame in 2016 from his track Elm Street, which was the immediate standout on his debut mixtape, Wapanese.
Pull up to the light, double cup on some ice. Block 17, if I don't up it quick as them, that's my life. In the hood.
The track was a hit, the type that gains a lot of local attention, while also circulating on rap websites and gains serious attention from those that keep in touch with new artists that are breaking onto the scene. But it wasn't until Kendrick Lamar's song Humble hit the airwaves 8 months later that Elm Street caught the attention of a more mainstream audience. That's because the beat used on Humble is practically a remix of producer Stevie B's beat that he created used on Elm Street.
Watch it gang bang and I was born in the 90s. Bought 11, 12 when I first decided what the fuck.
AM to the PM, PM to the AM phone. This out your per diem, you just gotta hate them phone.
The structures are very similar. In 2017, Wopo was sent back to prison for several things, most notably violating his probation by traveling outside of Pennsylvania. This came from trips to New York to meet with record labels and failing to meet his probation officer, all on top of his existing unpaid court fines. This didn't distract Wopo from music though, because his team continued to drop his music even while he was locked up.
Name is Jimmy Wopo, and yes, he released his latest single while here inside one of the cells at the Allegheny County Jail.
After being released towards the end of 2017, Wopo was just starting to grow and become a bigger name in the industry. He worked alongside some pretty notable artists, collaborating on songs with Wiz Khalifa, Maxo Cream, and even 21 Savage. But on June 18, 2018, Jimmy Wopo's rap career was cut short when news broke that the rapper was targeted and shot while in a car with his friends.
Jimmy Wopo had quite a following and was known beyond the Pittsburgh rap scene.
Wopo was rushed to the hospital where he passed away. An eyewitness detailed seeing a car following Wopo's white Mazda before pulling up alongside them, opening fire, then speeding off. Even though Jimmy Wopo wasn't around anymore, his name wasn't forgotten by law enforcement, who had supposedly already been working on a big case against the late rapper. In August of 2018, a string of news reports broke through the media on a RICO charge that took down a gang accused of terrorizing the city of Pittsburgh. The gang was called 1100, and one of the leaders was none other than the late Jimmy Wopo.
Involved in everything from murders to robberies to drug trafficking, and police tell us that one of their leaders was murdered rapper Jimmy Wopo.
Reports stated that the gang was responsible for shootings, robberies, trafficking of heroin and prescription pills, and homicides, including hits on members of a rival gang called the Wavy Boys. The reports called out Wopo as an instructing member within the gang. According to the reports, Wopo was like the mob boss of the Pittsburgh crime syndicate, stating that members would commit criminal deeds as a way to get in his good graces and receive monetary rewards, or even just to be shown in his music videos. Officers said that Wopo's power and reach was so feared in the city that they had to wait until after his death to interview witnesses because they previously feared too much for their lives and weren't willing to speak up about what they knew. Jimmy Wopo only lived to be 21 years old, and within that time, he became a local legend in Pittsburgh for his rapping, and he was definitely on his way to being launched to full-blown stardom. It would be interesting to see where his music career would be today if his life wasn't cut short in 2018. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I post hip-hop related content every week. Have a great day.